exploring the weird history of Final Fantasy on its double anniversary. July 19th was a big day for Final Fantasy fans, a double anniversary. Game 4 celebrated its 30th anniversary, and 10 turned 20, but at the same day, it's a time for celebration, and what better way to celebrate than to remember how weird these series are? If you're a die-hard Final Fantasy fan, you get all this knowledge in your back pocket for parties, but you're an enjoyer, stick these oddities in your memory for later, either for trivia night, or just because they're wild. Xenogears was almost Final Fantasy VII. FF7 is one of the best remembered and most loved installments in the series, so much so, in fact, that it's got its own series of new games underway, starting with last year's Final Fantasy VII Remake, but it was almost, literally a different game entirely. Tatsuya Takahashi and Kaori Tanaka presented their pitch for the upcoming 7th game in the popular series, but Square ended up releasing it as its own title. The story involves around Fei Wong, an amnesia possessed of hidden depths and power. The story takes on religion, several schools of philosophy, and concepts like reincarnation and higher dimensions. When it did become part of the Final Fantasy series, it had gained a fan following over the years. Ariana Grande is a Final Fantasy character. Ariana Grande hasn't been shy about her love of all things Japanese, regardless of whether she spells them right, so it makes sense that she eventually ended up in a Final Fantasy game, Brave Exvius, to be exact, where she appears as Dangerous Ariana. The appearance was part of the campaign for her Dangerous Woman album in 2016, as you might expect her attacks are music based. Not only that, there's an orchestral remix on her song, Touch It, you can hear it here. It's actually pretty epic. The Spirit Within almost gave us our first virtual star. Nowadays, just about anyone with time and good software can remember a believable looking human. You've come to a point where virtual stars are all the rage on YouTube. Back in 2001, 20 years ago, Final Fantasy The Spirits Within was having to go at both. Had Aki Rose gone as far as intended, she would have been way ahead of her time. But as you can tell, she wasn't. Voice was super cool Mina when Rose starred in The Spirits Within and was supposed to be a recurring virtual star in other Square projects. She even showed up at Maxim's Hot 100 issue at number 87, sporting a purple bikini and standing next to a sidebar that could be graciously called of its time, but it was never meant to be, and Rose now lives on in this film in the internal animatrix demonstration video. What are some of your favorite weird Final Fantasy facts?